Hey guys, Matt Mollohan fishing here. Let's go fish. This time the ass is up in the hand. Oh, there's one. For the people, positive situations, positive things. What happens when you're positive? That might be a big oh shit. That might be a big. Oh, that's a big ass. Just boat flipping. Oh! Oh, greenfish tackle crawball. That's what I'm talking about. Oh, big girl came to play. Oh, big girl. And take one. Hey guys, okay, so more website questions. Actually kind of surprised that this many people are asking me questions. It's kind of funny. Didn't expect the website questions or as many as I've gotten. But one, of course, one big thing that's something I always get people asking about is a jig, because I throw jig year round. I kind of talked about it in the last video, but I'm talking about fall/winter jig fishing. Kind of the setup I use and get a little more depth, in terms of how, I use, my greenfish tackle crawball jig to, to catch fish, this time of year, which is fall. I mean, it's early December, so it's starting to get really cold, and it'll be wintertime fishing here soon, and then of course I use this in the spring too, in the pre-spawn. But the setup I use for this is, depending on how clear the water I'm fishing, I either use 15 or 20 pound high seas fishing line. Again, if the water's real clear, I'll go down to 15. I'll take the risk because I feel like I get more bites on 15-pound test. Now, if I'm fishing really sharp rock and thick rock piles, then 20-pound test is what I'll go with. I spool it up on a Team Lose Hyper Mag 8.5 to 1. I like something that's got a real fast gear ratio. You want to get those fish in quickly. It's a great reel, super long cast, and again, that high speed gear ratio, 8.3 to 1, not 8.5 to 1. Not that's big of a difference, but some high speed to get those fish in. Super long cast, so I can cover a bunch of water with the jig if I'm fishing a large area of rock. And put it on the Arc Rods 7.3 medium heavy Hyper Mag. Or not Hyper Mag, but Mag Heavy, Mag Medium Heavy rod. So that's kind of what I paired this up on. It's an Invoker series. Fantastic rod, great backbone, good tip on it, very parabolic rod. But the greenfish tackle crawball jig is just, number one, the way it's designed is it easily comes over rock, which is very important this time of year, because when you're pulling that jig over rock, you don't want to necessarily pop it off of there unless you get stuck or something like that. You're wanting that jig to fall down those rocks. I'm fishing areas, points that have deep water on either side or very close to deep water, where you got some drop, and normally those fish will sit on the deepest drop on the side of that point, hump, or whatever rock pile that you're fishing. And this greenfish tackle crawball jig comes over that rock so well. It's just, in my opinion, I fish a lot of football jigs. This, for brush, for rock, structure, is just a fantastic jig. So, when I cast it out there, I want to drag it slowly over those rocks. I want to feel that fall, because 9 times out of 10 when you get that bite, it's going to be when you pull it over a rock and it falls right down to to the next ledge or to the next drop right in front of that fish, and you're going to feel that bite on that next fall. Boom, you feel that bite, line goes slack, and you know what to do from there. You reel down and set the hook. So this time of year, you definitely want to be fishing points, humps, ledges and things that are real close to deep water, areas that you can drag that crawball football jig down, into that next deeper level of water. That's where those fish are typically going to sit. Now, at times, I'll cast it up on top of the point where those fish are up feeding on top of the point. It's just, again, you can cover a lot of water with that jig, making long casts with that Team Lose Hyper Mag, high speed gear ratio, and that arc rod 7.3 mag medium heavy rod is just a perfect jig rod. It's got plenty of backbone, great tip, and it's just again a very parabolic rod, and 15 to 20 pound high seas fishing line depending on the clarity of the water. 100% fluoro. So that's the setup. That's typically how I do it. And again, I'm looking for points, humps, and structure that are very close to deep water. That there's some kind of drop. That's usually where those fish are going to set up. And again, start on top of the point, kind of work your way down the sides where those deepest drops are, where those lines or contour lines are closest together. That's what you want to look for when you're fishing and throwing a jig this time of year. And, again, it's something you got to stick with. If you're going to throw a jig, commit to throwing the jig. You're not going to get 20, well, you can get 20 or 30 bites. The last tournament I fished in last week, I probably caught 20 fish on this jig. So there's times where it's good, and there's times where you might only get 6 to 8 bites. So you got to commit to throwing the jig. If you're not real confident in throwing that jig, the only way you're going to get better is by getting out there and actually doing it. So get that mental weakness out of your mind. If you want to be a better jig fisherman, you got to get out there and throw it. And this setup is the perfect setup for it. And you got to find those areas that number one, have rock. Those fish are around rock. And again, that next deepest drop is typically where they set up. Don't forget to fish top of the point, top of the hump, and just drag that jig down. Set up on that deeper side. Put your boat, in 30 or 35 foot of water. Throw it up to 15 and bring it on back. But again, make sure there's deep water around. That is a big key. You gotta be near deep water. That's what those fish are looking for, an area where they can move up and down, feed up and down, and obviously, finding bait on your graph is a big deal too. So those are my keys for fishing a greenfish tackle crawl ball football jig this time of year. Check you later, guys.